Hi class, this is Dr. Karsten. Hey, shh, guess what? I'm going to teach you a secret. Today we are going to talk about how to convert units of measurement. And I'm going to share with you the easy peasy secret for how to do this. But first, let's take one little step backwards and talk about what are units of measurement. Well, units of measurement are the ways that we measure things. They're things like feet and inches and kilograms and tons and hours and seconds. So for example, I could measure my height in feet or inches or even yards or centimeters or meters. Those are all different units that I could use to measure myself, how tall I am. Or I could measure the length of a lesson or a class. I could measure it in hours, I could measure it in minutes, I could measure it in seconds or milliseconds or nanoseconds. So, the units of measurement are how we are measuring things. Now, if you were to look in a textbook, and the textbook, let's say that this textbook said to you, how do you convert from a larger unit to a smaller unit? And I jotted it down because I saw this question, and then I know what the standard answer is in a book, and this is what they will tell you to do. They will say, multiply the number of larger units by the number of smaller units there are in each one of the larger units. So what many of you just heard is blah, 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 or wah, 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 or some version of that. So don't worry, we are going to simplify this into a strategy or a method that you can use from now until you finish your education. And after that, you'll even be able to use this if you're, let's say, doing some work around your house and you need to convert things. So our focus today is going to be going, though, just to let you know, I'm going to go the other way once or twice, but for today we are going to focus on how to convert from a larger unit to a smaller unit. We're going to talk about that in one more second, but first I want to show you some of the units of measurement that we've been using and some of the relationships that we have been already seeing when we're working with this. So for example, here are some things about time. And some of the things that we've seen is, for example, that 1 minute is equal to 60 seconds, an hour is 60 minutes, a day has 24 hours in it, 1 week is equal to 7 days, a year is equal to 365 days. Some of the weights we worked with was that a pound is 16 ounces, a ton is 2,000 pounds, a gram is 1,000 milligrams, a kilogram, and that's a K, I know it looks kind of like an H, let me fix that. A kilogram is equal to 1,000 grams, a liter is equal to 1,000 milliliters, this is like drinks. And then these are some things we've been talking about that we'll talk about more. 1 foot is equal to 12 inches, and 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. We will be exploring these more and what they mean, but these are some of the things that we're going to be using today and that we're going to be using a lot over the next week or so. So, those are some of the units of measurements: years, days, pounds, milligrams, feet. Those are all different units of measure. So really quick, what would be like a larger one and what is a smaller one? So for example, let's just look at this yard and feet. Now think about a yard and feet. So when you have your normally sized ruler that is just slightly longer than a piece of paper, so the normal ruler, that is 1 foot. Those are the ones that we use in school. So again, it would be about the length of my piece of paper, which is why I don't have it in front of me because it's not going to help you out right now. And then you have a yard stick, and those would have 3 feet on them. And you've seen your teacher use those, or you've seen them around the classroom, and they're the long wooden ones that we've used. And sometimes they're meter sticks. Usually they have meters or yards on them. So there are 3 feet in 1 yard. So a lot of you are going to be like saying, when you're looking at this and you're trying to figure out which unit is the larger unit, don't look at the numbers. You have to look at the unit. These are the units. These are numbers. These are the values. But these are the units, yards and feet. And a yard is bigger. It's much longer than a foot. Feet are much smaller. Similarly, feet and inches. Think about that ruler. There are 12 inches on that ruler. So if you have a 1 foot ruler and there's 12 inches on it, the inches are the smaller thing and the feet are the bigger thing. Let's look at something that you probably are more familiar with, hours and minutes. Hour is the larger unit. An hour is longer than a minute. A minute is shorter, so these are smaller. So even though there's a 60 here, which is a larger number, when I just look at the units without the numbers, hours are much bigger than minutes. So that's another concept that you really have to understand. So now, let's go ahead and let's talk about how to convert these things in the easy peasy way. So, let's go back to the feet and the inches. Let's go to the feet and the inches, and then maybe we'll do the pound and ounces because we did a lot of those recently. So, let's think about it. Let's think about feet and inches. The rule that we know is that 1 foot is equal to 12 inches. If I want to figure out how I can convert feet to inches, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say to myself, how do I turn this 1 into a 12? And what is the rule to turn 1 foot into 12 inches? Multiply by 12. When you are doing conversions like this, they are going to be multiplying and dividing. These are basic conversions, and you're either multiplying or dividing. So, when you're going from the smaller number to the bigger number, can you guess what you're doing? You're multiplying. If I wanted to turn my inches into feet, I would have to divide by 12 because 12 divided by 12 is 1. So, to go from 1 foot to 12 inches, 1 times 12 is 12. This is kind of easy, right? And to go from inches to feet, 12 divided by 12 is 1. We're going to do some examples in a second, but let's look at some more of these conversions. Let's do hours and minutes. So we know that 1 hour is equal to 60 minutes. So again, if I want to convert hours to minutes, and I know this rule, I know this conversion right here, what I can do is I can say, how do I turn 1 into 60? I multiply times 60. 1 times 60 is 60. How do I convert minutes to hours? I divide by 60. So if I wanted to change minutes into hours, let's say I had 120 minutes, I could divide by 60 to get my hours. But we're not doing that yet. We're sticking with the easy stuff right now. So let's try this. Let's try this hour thing. So 1 hour equals 60 minutes. How do I know that? Or how do I convert? 1 times 60. So I take the number of hours and I multiply them times 60 to get my minutes. So for example, if I had 2 hours, I would have to multiply by 60 to figure out how many minutes there are in 2 hours. Now remember, you could always just say, well, 2 hours would be 60 plus 60, or 60 2 times. And so I'm going to get 120, because I could do 2 times 6, this is my zero trick, 2 times 6 is 12, and add on that 0. So again, I could just do 2 times 60 is 120. All right, let's try another one. So let's go to the foot in the yard. So the rule is 1 foot is equal to 3 yards. I did that backwards. Let's not look at that one. Let me get us another piece of paper. Oh my goodness. All right, so here we go. 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. All right, so 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. So what is my rule? How do I convert yards into feet? What I'm going to do is I say, how do I turn a 1 into a 3? How do I turn one of these into 3 of those? What's my rule going to be? It's times 3. So now if I had 2 yards, I would have to do 2 times 3 to get the number of feet, and that would be 6 feet. If I had 3 yards, I would multiply 3 times 3, and I would get 9 feet. So again, I'm just using that conversion rule that I figured out for yards and feet. So now let's try doing that backwards. Again, I know that 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. What about if I knew that I had 12 feet and I wanted to convert my feet into yards? Now I want to go from feet to yards. And what's my rule? How do I turn a 3 into a 1? I divide by 3. So that's how I'm going to turn my 3 into a 1. I'm going to divide by 3. So if I had, what did I say, 12 feet, I would divide by 3 to figure out the number of yards. I'm going to have to pause and let the puppy go to bed in a second. And 12 divided by 3 is 4. All right, I'm going to let the puppy go to bed. I will be right back, my friends. All right, so puppy's in bed. He's happy. So let's do one more of these. So let's say that, I don't know, let's say that we know that a commercial, let's just say that a commercial is 2 minutes long, or 3 minutes. Let's say a commercial is 3 minutes long. So we know that a commercial is 3 minutes. Let me get us a new piece of paper just to make this a little neater. So a commercial is 3 minutes long. And I want to know how many seconds is that. So I want to know 3 minutes is equal to how many seconds. So I'm going to use my conversion rule. I know that 1 minute is equal to 60 seconds. How do I turn minutes into seconds? How do I turn a 1 into a 60? I multiply by 60. 1 times 60 equals 60. Watch, 1 times 60 equals 60. So now I know my rule. To turn minutes into seconds, I just have to take this number and multiply it by 60. So 3 times 60. Well, that's easy. 3 times 6 is 18, and tack on that 0. Use your 0 trick. So 3 minutes is 180 seconds. The commercial is, or the commercial break or whatever, is 180 seconds long. All right, I hope that this is starting to make sense. I want this to be quick, so I will see you in our Google Classroom. I hope you like the secret.